Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we're diving into Diversified Healthcare Trust's latest financial report, and let's just say they've been busy refinancing and selling off properties. It's a real mixed bag, so let's unpack what it all means. If you're interested in understanding the real numbers behind companies and what they're actually doing, stick around. And if you appreciate getting these insights without the corporate jargon, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We also have a fantastic community over on Discord, linked in the description below, where we break down even more complex filings. All right, let's get straight to the heart of the matter, the financials. This report covers the period ending June 30, 2025, and it paints a picture of a company actively managing its portfolio and debt. Looking at the condensed consolidated balance sheets, we see a significant decrease in total assets. They went from over $5.1 billion at the end of 2024 down to about $4.7 million, down to $96 million, down to $96 million, down to $96 million, down to $96 million. This clearly shows they're selling off parts of their business. On the flip side, debt is also coming down. Their senior unsecured notes, which were nearly $2 billion at the end of 2024, are now just under $1.6 billion. This is a good sign, showing they're paying down debt. Now let's talk about how they are actually performing. For the second quarter of 2025, they reported a net loss of about $91.6 million. That's actually better than the same period in 2024 when they lost nearly $98 million. In terms of revenue, which they break down by segment, the story is a bit different. For the 3 months ending June 30, 2025, total revenues were about $382 million, a slight increase from the $1 million in the prior year. The bulk of this comes from their managed senior living communities, or SHOP segment, which brought in over $327 million in resident fees and services. When we look at net operating income, or NOI, which is basically the profit from their properties before other expenses, it went up a bit. Total NOI was about $70 million for the quarter, compared to about $67 million by their SHOP segment, which saw a good jump in NOI. The SHOP segment specifically saw its NOI grow by a solid 26.3%. This is because occupancy improved slightly from 79% to 80.6%, and the average monthly rate went up from about $5,100 to $5,400. So their rent prices are going up faster than their costs, which is a positive sign for this part, which is a positive sign for this part of their business. However, their medical office and life science portfolio segment is facing headwinds. Total NOI for this segment dropped by 12.5%, mostly due to lower rental income. The occupancy here also dipped slightly from 81.5% to 82.9%, but the main issue seems to be that average rental rates are falling slightly or not keeping pace. The all other category, which includes things like triple net leased properties, also saw a dip in NOI, largely due to property sales. Digging deeper into the expenses, we see a significant increase in impairment of assets. For the first 6 months of 2025, these charges were almost $70 million, a huge jump from about $18 million in the same period last year. This means they've had to write down the value of some of their properties because they're worth less than what they were recorded on the books. They also reported a substantial loss of nearly $30 million related to modifying or paying off debt early in the first 6 months of 2025. This is largely because they've been busy refinancing and paying down some of their loans. For the first half of 2025, their total revenues were about $770 million, up from $742 million in the first half of 2024. But that net loss widened significantly from $184 million in the first half of 2024 to over $100 million. Here are those big increases in asset impairments and a new large loss from debt modification. Now, when we look at FFO, or funds from operations, and normalized FFO, which are key metrics for REITs, the picture is also a bit mixed. The FFO for the first 6 months of 2025 actually dropped to about $3.5 million from $17 million in the prior year. And normalized FFO also took a hit, falling to around $32 million from $10 million in the prior year. This decline in FFO, despite improved NOI in the SHOP segment, is largely due to those asset impairments and debt restructuring costs. It's also worth noting that they have quite a bit of debt. Their senior unsecured notes alone total over $1.5 billion, and they have about $1.1 billion in secured debt and finance leases. They're actively managing this debt, as we saw with the bond redemptions and new mortgage financings. Looking at their cash flow, they used about $321 million in financing activities through June 2025, mostly to pay down debt. This is a big change from the $45 million they brought in from financing in the same period last year. Their cash position has also decreased, down to about $48 million, so they brought in $48 million. They brought in from $27, Vervin $4 in. The company is also actively selling properties. They sold $337 million worth of properties in the first half of 2025 and have more agreements in place. They're using the proceeds from some of these sales to pay down their senior secured notes, which is a smart move. A recurring theme in these reports is the company's relationship with RMR and other related parties. This raises some potential conflicts of interest, which is always something to keep an eye on. They're heavily reliant on RMR for management services across their various segments, and the compensation structures there can be quite complex. So what's the story here? Diversified Healthcare Trust is in a period of transition. They're selling off assets that aren't performing well, particularly in their medical office and life science segment, and using the proceeds to pay down debt. Their managed senior living communities or shop segment are showing some promising signs with improving occupancy and rates. However, the significant asset impairments and debt restructuring costs are impacting their overall profitability and cash flow. They are heavily managing their debt load, which is a positive, but the overall picture is one of a company under pressure to right-size its portfolio and improve its financial health in a challenging economic environment. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for Diversified Healthcare Trust's future? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more corporate deep dives. And don't forget to join our Discord community linked in the description for even more exclusive content and discussion. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.